Hello my dear students, welcome back to another session of computer application class. So the previous class we already discussed about the elementary concepts of object and classes. So there are two types of object we already have seen, that is a real world object and a software object. And real world object I have given already there with examples. I hope you understood. So today we are going to learn about the software object. So what do you mean by software object? Where we can see the software object? Where it has to be used? So that and all in this class we are going to explain. So let me start the topic software object. So what do you mean by software object? So software object is a type of object, but it's nothing. So to compare with the real world object, the real world object we are able to see and how it will be, and we can see, we can touch. That previous class we already discussed, but the software object is not like that. So software object, we can give the definition. Software object may be defined as an object it's created while writing the Java program. Okay, so that means software object is an object it may be defined as created by while writing a Java program. So actually the software object, each and every programming language, the software object will be there. That means without software object we are unable to develop any application software or any program, any kind of program, that not only for the Java program, any kind of programming we are unable to do. So with the help of software object only we are doing that is. So we already know, the previous class we already discussed, without real world object we are unable to create the software object. So what are the software object? Which are the things we are considering as a software object that we can see? So software object means it's a nothing actually. If you know to write a Java program or any programming, what are the variables or what are the actions or methods we are using the entire programming, that is called as a software object. So different types of software objects we are using, that is based on the program. So how the program will be, what kind of programs we are going to develop. So based on the program or the characteristics of program, based on that number of software objects will be varied. So what is software object we can see. So we can consider the real world object, because software object, if you wanted to understand, we need to explain again real world object, because through real world object only we are getting the software object. Then how it will be we can see. So the real world object we can consider a student. So we already know a student or a people or human or animal or anything, anything we can consider as an object. So I just considering a student. So we can think what are the major characteristics of a student, or what are the major behavior of a student. So the speciality of one real world object will be the characteristics of real world object and behavior of the real world object. Okay, so the previous example, smartphone, we already explained. Okay, so what are the major functions of or features or working of a smartphone? So what are the major features or applications what we are using inside the smartphone, that's called as characteristics of smartphone. Okay, so the behavior of smartphone means what purpose we are using. So mainly what are the purpose we are using the smartphone for? It's used for making phone call, to use it to making video or recording video or audio, listening music, whatsoever. So many actions they are providing. So this actions is called as a behavior. So what are the for getting that actions, what are the supporting applications or files that we are using, that is called as a characteristics. So the object, the speciality of each and every object is called as a characteristics and behavior. Okay, so how the software object will be considered, we can see a student. So a student means is for identification purpose we are using student name, student ID, student roll number, so name, address, or many things. That is a characteristics of student. So behavior of a student is that is each and every student will be different. So here he or she maybe sing a song, or she will be writing or dancing or whatsoever. So what are the actions the student will be doing, that is called as behavior. So what are the common activities we are considering, that is called as characteristics. For example, identification by the name of student. Okay, and with the help of the student register number, ID, or class or section, division, so whatsoever many things will be there. So this all will be the identification. This we can consider as a characteristics of student. Okay, so these characteristics and behavior we are fetching from the real world object. So we need only the characteristics and the behavior. So these two concepts or these two methods if we are using in the software concept, that is called as another name. So with the help of this only we are creating software object. How it will be, we can see. Okay, so we already explained what are the actions and the methods we are using the entire programming, that is called as a software object. So the number of types of software objects are there. Okay, so this software object can be classified into different types. That is called as, I already have given the chart. So software object, the real world object will be there. So here characteristics and the behavior will be there. Okay, so in the real world object, characteristics and the behavior we are considering. Okay, so real world object means it's a living or non-living things, that is any animals or anything we can consider as an object. So when we are going through the real world object, the part of real world object will be, one is behavior and one is characteristics. Okay, so let me come back to the software object. The software object we are not going to the characteristics and behavior. Okay, then in the software object we are considering, it's called as data members and member functions. Okay, so data members and a member function. So what do you mean by data members, or what do you mean by member function? So in the behavior and the characteristic, these two we are considering. Okay, so data members means in the entire program while doing the programming, or so we are getting a program. So programming means what? It's a set of or group of instructions. So that is based on the programming language, it will be changed. For example, if it is a Java program, input and output command or structure of a program, or what are the commands we are using inside the program, that will be entirely changed. Okay, so that is different for each and every programming, but the basic concept will be exactly same only. Okay, so we can come back to the Java programming. So while writing the Java program, so what purpose we are using the Java programming? So one problem will be there, or one question will be there. That question, if you wanted to find a solution, we are writing a program. Okay, example, the simple program, very simple program to find the mathematical expression. We already know the quadratic equations or trigonometric functions. So to find the solution of a given trigonometric functions, or find the solution for the given quadratic or algebraic expression. So how to find the solution for the given expression? So there is a formula. Okay, so that formula, how to use the formula, how to simplify the formula, how to evaluate it, that and all we already know. That how we are going to evaluate it, that concept we are giving to the computer. Okay, so computer will be evaluating, and after we are getting the output. So this kind of problem solving purpose only we are using the programming. Okay, so one problem will be there, we are going to find a solution with the help of computer. Okay, or with the help of some relevant applications. So that is called as a software programming. Okay, so for that we are using different kinds of programming language. Java is one of the type of programming language. Okay, so if you are writing a program, so we need many things. So directly we are unable to give the input, or we are getting output, that and all we already discussed in the previous classes. So if you want to input anything to the computer through programming or any medium. Okay, so we need some supporting or some auxiliary or helping part we need. So that is called as variables. Okay, so variable is it's a type of alphabets. Okay, so any kind of alphabets we can consider, like A to Z alphabet letters will be there, either small letter or capital letter, any text or word or string or whatsoever. So anything are related to the program, any word or text or even letters also we can consider as a variable. So what is the use of variable? If you wanted to store the input value to somewhere else, we are depending on the variable. So without variable we are unable to store anything to the program. Okay, so for example, I wanted to find a solution for how to add two numbers. That's a very simple arithmetical operations only. So if you wanted to enter any two number, that means without entering any two numbers we are unable to add it. So you should be enter, or you should be input any two numbers. So this any two numbers we are inputting, or user will be inputting to the computer, but computer unable to understand, the user will be inputting that value. So what we need to do? So through the programming language we are getting, or some storage we are requesting to the programming or program software, we need some storage to store some input value. Okay, so before processing, the inputted thing should be stored somewhere else. So while doing the programming, we are depending on the variable. So variable is just like a storage space. We can store types of values. Okay, so different kinds of variables we are using, that is based on the character sets. So in the keyboard we already know. So what are the major character sets? So character set means the classification of values, like alphabets. Alphabet, it is a type of character. Then 0 to 9 alphanumeric values will be there, and 0 to 9 numerical values will be there, and also special characters, punctuations, many things will be there. So this whole group is called as, commonly we are telling it is as a character set. Okay, so this character set only we are storing. So based on the group of character sets, we are divided the types of value. So that is called as data types. Types of value, that is called as a data type. So the inputted value when the user will be inputting something. So what kind of input they are giving, that we should be decide before starting the program itself. Okay, for example, if I wanted to enter the value, it's a numerical value, or 10 or 15, any numerical value, if I wanted to enter to the computer, first itself I have to decide it. I wanted to enter numerical value. So if you decide, after deciding that the variable should be in numerical format. Okay, so all the type of programming language will be providing the data types. So mainly the three classification will be there, that is called as integer, float and character. So integer data type, it's defined 0 to 9 numerical value, either positive or negative. Okay, so the next one is a float. Float means it's a decimal number. It's a decimal known means in mathematics we are telling it's a decimal number. Actually decimal fraction number, like point values 12.1 or 2.3, like that. The point values, if you wanted to store in any variable, we are depending on float data types. If you wanted to enter any kind of text or character, we are depending on the character data type. So these three are the major data types we are using while writing the programming. Okay, so we can come back to the data members. So this, what are the variables we are using in the entire programming with the help of data types. This group of data types or variable is called as a data members. Okay, so in the normal programming we are telling it's just a variable declaration. Okay, so when we are using a object oriented programming, we are considering as a data members. So data members means it's a nothing, it's a variable. So if you want to store the inputted value to somewhere else, or the entire program if you wanted to use it, so we need to declare the variable. For what purpose we are declaring the input value? We need to store somewhere else. Okay, so that we have to use that we have to declare before using the programming. Okay, so that in the object oriented programming, that we are telling it is data members. Normal programming we are telling it's a variable declaration. These types of variable declaration we are telling as a data members. So different data members we get. So number of data members we can use at a time. So that is depending upon the program, it will be changed. More than one variables at a time we can use it, and more than one type also we can access it and we can use it. Okay, so that is called as a data members. The next one is a member functions. So this is called as characteristics. Characteristics of the real world object, we are telling characteristic. Characteristic means what are the applications we are using, or what are the major features we are using in the particular object, that is called as a characteristic. So for actions, what are the variables we are using? So for these characteristics and behavior will be there. So behavior is a action. Okay, for this behavior, for getting this action, what are the supporting things we are using, that is called as a characteristic. So we can come back to the software object. The data member is a characteristics. Okay, so for writing the program or executing the program or implementing the program, we need some kind of supporting things like pillars, like we need. Okay, so the variable should be providing. The variable will be providing all those things. So without the variable, we are unable to write the program. So the main the use of the variable will be to store something. The inputted value, user will be inputting something to the variable. So the variable we are using to the entire programming. So through the variable only we are getting the value. So what are the variables if you wanted to execute it? Okay. So what are the variable or what are the values if you wanted to execute or any processing? We are depending on variables. Okay. So this number of variables is called as a data members, or in the real world it is called as characters. So in the real world object, this characters will be converted as a data members. The next, what are the actions we are using in the programming language? So what kind of processing you need to do? For example, many variables we declared. So A, B, C, D, like many variables I have declared. So after declaring the variable, how we are going to inputting the data? That inputted data you have to input it. The inputting is a process. So that process will be handled by member function. Through the member functions only we are inputting the value and it will be processing. For example, will be inputting for get data or display data or calculations or any kind of processing. So that entire action in the actions of entire programming is called as member function. For supporting to input the value, to process the value, getting an output of the given program. So this all will be we are considering is an action. Okay, so these actions we are considering as a member functions. So we can conclude the real world object and the software object. So real world object is having two method, that is called as a characteristics and a behavior. So the characteristics means that to getting an action, what are the supportive things we are using, that is called as a characteristic. For example, the mobile phones we already explained, that is a different kind of applications we are using, some kind of features we are using. So this supporting actions, the Bluetooth or any kind of applications. So this will be considered as characters. Okay. So behavior means that is action. For what purpose we are using. So that is called as a behavior. Okay. So it is used the mobile phone we are using to make a call, recording a video or listening music or whatsoever. So many things we are using. Okay. The uses of the device or uses of the program, it is called as a behavior. So this is we can consider as a real world object. So when we are coming to the software object, the real world objective characteristics we are converting to as a data members or variable. Behavior we are considering or converting to a member functions or actions. Okay. So the data members means what are the variables we are using in the entire programming, that is called as a data members. So different type of data types we are using: integer data, integer variable, float variable or character variable. Integer variable can hold 0 to 9 numerical values and float will be decimal fraction number. Character will be text or the group of alphabets, that is called that. So this kind of number of variables or different types of variables we are grouping in a one particular frame, that is called as data members. The uses of the data members will be holding some specific data like input integer or character or decimal or whatsoever, or different types of data they are holding. Okay, so that is called as a data members. The member function means that with the help of this variable, what are the actions we are using in the entire programming, that is called as a member function. So through the member functions only we are doing all those things. For example, we will be inputting the data to the computer. So with the help of some input commands. So what are the input commands we are using in the Java programming? So through that we are inputting the value. So inputting value to the computer and processing inputted value and getting the output. This all will be different types of method or functions only. So these functions is called as actions. So in the real world object it is called as behavior. This behavior will be converting to the computerized format is called as member function. Okay, the uses, that means how it will be working. So what are the actions, how the actions will be done by the program controller. So that will be done by member function. So we can conclude that programming means, the object oriented programming means it's a combination of, that means the combined group of number of data members and member function. So data members means you don't get confused, it's a simple thing only, it's a number of variables. So what are the number of variables we are using in the entire programming, that is called as a data members. So with the help of the data members we are doing some actions inside the programming. So this action will be done by with the help of member function. So the example for the member function, inputting value to the computer, processing of the given inputted value, and finally we are getting the displaying the output. So these all different types of actions only. This each actions we can consider as a member function. Each action will be considered as a member function. Member function will be doing all those things. Okay, so example we can consider get data function. So get data, it's a type of function. Get data means we already know to getting a data from the user, or input function. Okay, input function means inputting data from the inputting data by the user. User will be inputting through the input function, and after inputting all the values we need to calculate it, or we need to process it. This processing is done by another function, another action. It's another action only. This will be, it's not working together. Together we can give it, that is a, if it is splitting means that is easy to develop the program. Okay, so processing is another action. Then after processing, the result will be storing somewhere else. So that should be, we need to display to the user. So the displaying the result, that is another kind of actions. So this kind of number of actions will be combined together. So that is called as a program, object-oriented programming. So this each action of a object-oriented program is called as a member function. For using the member function, we need the support from the data members, because through data members only we are inputting the value. Okay, so this is called as software object. So I hope you understood what is real world object and the software object. So real world object means it's a nothing only. So from outside, what are the things we are seeing, that is called as a real world object. So this real world object, the characteristics and behavior of the real world object we are going to convert to the computerized format, that is called as a software object. Okay, so this software, why it is called a software object? When we are doing the programming, there only we are using the software object. Okay, so software object may be defined as a what is defined as an object. It's a type of object only. It's created while writing a program. Okay, so the object will be creating while writing a program. Like characteristics of real world object we can consider as a data members of the software object. The behavior of the real world object we can consider as the member functions of the software object. So data members and a member function means, data members means the entire programming. So any programming language, one particular program, the entire programming, what are the variables we are using in the program, that variable is called as a software, data members. So what is the use of variables? So the user will be inputting something to the computer, that should be stored somewhere else. So directly we are unable to execute the inputted thing. Okay, so with somewhere else we have to store it, and after storage only we are using it. So where you wanted to store, what kind of value you wanted to store, how much space you need to store the inputted value, that should be, we have to decide it first itself. After decision, we have to give the request to the program. The programming controller or programming software will be provide the space for storing the value. Okay, so that is called as a data members, or it is called as a variables. So in the normal programming we are considering as a variable. So when we are going through the object oriented programming, it is based on the object and classes. So the normal programming we are not using the object and classes. It's a simple program or structured method programming only. So object oriented programming language only using the object and class concept. So where we are using the object and classes concept, there we are using the data members. It's actually variables only, but when we are going through the object oriented, the name will be changed. Exactly same purpose, to store the value to somewhere else or some relevant space. It is called as a variables. So this variable will be providing the value to the member function. So member function in the software object is having member function. It's a type of action. So what are the actions we are using in the entire programming, that we have to define it. Okay, for example, after inputting the value with the help of data members, we stored something else to the variable. Okay, so this stored value, if you wanted to display it, or if you wanted to process it, or inputting also, that is also a type of processing only. Okay, accessing only. So this will be done by member function for inputting the value and requesting to the user to input the value. Yeah, user will be inputting the value, and that should be stored somewhere. This is a type of action. Okay, inputting value and storing to somewhere else, that is a type of action. After inputting the value, that should be process it. Sometimes it may be a calculation, so sometimes it may be some kind of simplification, or sometimes it will be a formula or something else we are doing, that is called as processing. So this processing is another type of actions. So the next will be, after processing, the result should be displayed to the user. So that is another action. Okay, so this kind of more than one actions will be combined. Okay, so that is called as object oriented program. So each actions of the given object oriented programming is called as a member function. So for getting the action, we need some kind of variables or input or storing the value to somewhere else. So that we are using the data members. Okay, so we can conclude the speciality of the software object will be data members and member functions. So in the real world object, characteristics and behavior we are converting to the software object, that is called as data members and member functions. So once again I am repeating, 2-3 times I repeated, once again I am repeating. Data members means the entire programming, what are the variables we are using. So that is called as a data members. So the entire programming, what are the actions or how many actions we are defining. So that actions is called as member function. So with the help of data members only we are doing the member functions. Okay, so through the member functions the entire program will be executing. Okay, so this is called as software object. Okay. So if you are having any doubt, you can clarify with the WhatsApp group. Always all the classes I am telling. So we can clarify the doubts and I'll clear it. Thank you.